Welcome to this deep dive. And this time we're going deep with Mitch Albom's The Five People You Meet in Heaven.
Okay.
So if you're expecting harps and clouds,
Yeah.
put that aside for a second.
Right.
This book really makes us think about life, death, and how our actions,
Yeah.
kind of echo.
Well, and what's so interesting is how Albom uses a simple setting like an amusement park,
Yeah.
Ruby Pier, to launch this really profound exploration.
Right.
You've got Eddie, the main character, who has spent his whole life there, and then his sudden death.
On his birthday.
Yeah, on his birthday, no less.
Good.
Just catapults him into this journey.
So let's talk about Eddie's death for a sec.
Okay.
It's tragic, but it's tied to this, ridiculously small event.
Yes.
A lost car key.
Right.
It jams up a ride, and Eddie, being the stand-up guy he is,
Right.
rushes to save a little girl, and bam, he's in heaven. But it's not what he expects at all.
This is where the critical thinking kicks in. I think Albom's version of heaven isn't about judgment or reward.
Yeah.
It's about understanding.
Right.
And so Eddie meets 5 people from his past.
Okay.
Each one of them is holding a piece of the puzzle
Oh, interesting.
that is his life's meaning. And this is what makes us think,
Right.
what would our heaven look like?
Who would we meet?
Who would we meet exactly?
That's a good question.
And these encounters aren't just a stroll down memory lane.
Right.
These are meant to make Eddie, and really us as readers, think about some big questions.
Yeah.
Like, let's take the Blue Man, for example.
Okay.
This guy worked at the pier when Eddie was a kid.
Yeah.
And his blue skin really plays with our perceptions of what normal is.
Okay, so the Blue Man's story, what's that about?
Well, it's about unintended consequences.
Oh.
Like a chain reaction.
Okay.
Eddie, when he's a child, unknowingly spooks the Blue Man,
Uh-huh.
which leads to his death.
Oh.
Years later, Eddie learns about this, and it makes him face, how even our smallest actions can affect others in ways we don't even realize.
It's like Albom is saying, hey, wake up.
Right.
You're not just living for yourself.
Exactly.
Every choice matters.
It all matters.
That's a big responsibility to think about.
Huge.
Yeah, and that responsibility goes beyond just, the physical world.
Right.
Eddie's next encounter is with his wartime captain.
Oh, yeah.
And these two share a really traumatic past.
Right.
Including an incident where the captain shot Eddie in the leg.
Wow.
Can you imagine the emotional baggage?
Heavy stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And for years, Eddie carried all this resentment, this anger. But in heaven, the captain reveals the truth.
Okay.
He shot Eddie to save his life.
Oh, wow.
To prevent him from being captured by the enemy.
So it wasn't.
And it forces Eddie and us to confront this idea of forgiveness.
Yeah.
And seeing things from another person's point of view.
It's such a powerful lesson in empathy.
It is.
Because we often judge others based on our own limited understanding. But what if we dig deeper,
Yeah.
What if we understand their motivations, their fears, the pressures they're facing? Maybe we could find forgiveness then.
It makes you think about our own lives, too.
Absolutely.
Who are we holding grudges against?
Yeah.
And is there something we're missing?
Right.
A chance for us to let go of that anger.
And find some peace.
Yeah.
So this idea of seeking understanding,
Yeah.
looking beyond the surface, it's key to critical thinking.
It is.
And it keeps coming up as Eddie meets the next person in his journey.
Okay, who's next?
Ruby, the woman Ruby Pier is named after.
Now, this is where things get really interesting.
So Ruby, she represents a whole new layer of understanding for Eddie.
Okay.
He starts off blaming her for his father's unhappiness.
Right.
But Ruby shows Eddie a side of his dad he never knew.
Really?
Challenging all those assumptions he's held onto for so long.
This is where I think that idea of generational trauma comes in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ruby helps Eddie see that his dad was messed up by his own childhood.
Right.
And that made it tough for him to show love or affection.
Yeah, it makes you think about our own struggles.
It does.
How many of them come from patterns in our families?
Right, things we don't even realize are affecting us.
Exactly.
And the implications for critical thinking here are huge.
I know, it's so true.
We always interpret things based on our own experiences.
Right, which are limited.
But what if we're like Eddie and take the time to understand the history behind the people we meet?
Mm-hmm.
It could totally change how we see the world.
It really could.
It's like Albom is saying, look, don't just judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
There's so much more to the story.
It's a call for empathy, for sure.
It is.
For understanding, for stepping outside ourselves.
And this need for a wider perspective just gets bigger in Eddie's next encounter.
Oh, yeah.
With his own father.
Talk about a heavy meeting.
I know, years of unspoken things.
Resentment, longing.
Coming to a head in heaven.
This is where the book digs deep into forgiveness. I think Eddie finally confronts his dad about the pain.
Yeah.
But he also starts to understand his dad's struggles.
Right. It's not about saying bad behavior is okay.
No.
But it's about recognizing that there's a human being behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes forgiveness a tool for critical thinking.
Okay.
It's not about letting someone off the hook.
Right.
It's about freeing yourself from that anger and bitterness.
Yeah, that can cloud your judgment for sure.
Absolutely.
It's about choosing compassion.
Yeah.
Even when it's hard.
So then we get to Eddie's final encounter.
The one that ties everything together.
Right. His meeting with Tala.
Oh, yeah. Now Tala's
the little girl Eddie tried to save on the ride.
Right, right.
And this is where Albom throws us a curveball.
Okay.
We learn that Eddie did save Tala.
He did.
He pushed her to safety before he died.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
What?
Tala tells him his purpose wasn't about some big achievement or anything.
Oh, wow.
It was about the lives he touched.
Yeah.
The kids he kept safe at Ruby Pier.
That is mind-blowing.
It really is.
It challenges everything we think about success.
About leaving your mark.
Right? Like, our most important actions could be the small, everyday things.
Yeah, that we do for others.
Wow. And that's a call for critical thinking, too.
Definitely.
It makes us question our priorities.
Our definition of success, even.
Are we just chasing things?
Or are we truly making a difference?
Yeah, are we focused on the destination?
Or the journey?
This really got to me. You know, in a world that says be bigger, be better.
Right.
It's easy to forget those small things.
It's like Albom is reminding us that our lives are made up of little moments.
Connections, kindness, choices.
And all those little things create the beauty and meaning.
That's beautiful.
So Eddie's journey through heaven ends.
Yeah.
But the questions the book raises, they just begin.
It's like a new way to think about life and death.
And how everything is connected.
Absolutely.
It asks us to look deeper to understand and to realize the impact we all have on each other.
Even in the ordinary moments.
And that's what critical thinking is all about.
So what are your takeaways?
Well, first I have to say, read this book.
Yeah.
It's short, but it's powerful.
It'll stay with you.
It will.
If you want a story that'll make you see things differently,
yeah,
pick up The 5 People You Meet in Heaven.
And if you like deep dives like this,
yeah,
subscribe to the channel.
We've got so much more coming.
All kinds of cool topics.
To make you think and learn.
We'll help you figure out life.
One deep dive at a time.
Until next time, keep thinking, keep exploring.
And stay sharp.
You know, one thing that really stood out to me about Eddie's journey is how it's like our own critical thinking process.
Oh, how so?
He starts with all these ideas about heaven, about his life, the people he knew.
Right.
But with every encounter, those ideas get challenged and he has to rethink everything.
Like he's breaking down everything he thought he knew.
Yeah, like a mental and emotional deconstruction.
And rebuilding it with a new understanding.
Based on a wider perspective.
And isn't that what critical thinking is all about?
Exactly, questioning what we believe, searching for new information.
And being open to changing our minds.
When we see evidence that contradicts what we thought.
It's not about just accepting what we hear or staying comfortable.
Right. It's about engaging with ideas, even if they make us uncomfortable.
Even if they challenge our core beliefs.
And that's where The 5 People You Meet in Heaven really hits home.
Yeah, it pushes us out of those simple explanations.
The easy answers.
Right. It makes us face tough emotions, ethical problems.
The messiness of relationships.
And it does it all with a story that pulls you in.
You really feel for Eddie.
Yeah, his pain, his confusion, and then his peace.
It's amazing how Albom combines these deep ideas with characters you connect with.
In a story that just keeps you reading.
He doesn't tell you what to think.
He lets you figure it out for yourself.
And that's why this book is so good for critical thinking.
It's not about giving you all the answers.
It's about asking the important questions.
Having us dig deeper and challenge ourselves.
And that's what stays with you after you finish the book.
Yeah, those questions stick with you.
They change how you interact with people.
How you see your own life, how you see the world.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into The 5 People You Meet in Heaven,
I want to leave you with a thought.
Okay.
Imagine your own version of heaven.
The 5 people you might meet.
Think about who has shaped your life.
Good or bad.
What did you learn from them?
How did they make you who you are?
It's a powerful way to think about things.
It gets to the heart of critical thinking.
Questioning, analyzing, understanding. If this deep dive made you curious,
go grab a copy of the book.
The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. It's a journey you won't forget.
And hit that subscribe button.
For more deep dives just like this.
We'll keep exploring all kinds of fascinating topics.
To help you learn and grow.
Until next time, stay curious and keep those minds sharp.